Have you ever looked at your life and thought, somewhere along the way, I lost a part of myself? It happens to so many people. Responsibilities, struggles, or unexpected turns in life can make you forget the person you once were. But the truth is, you don't have to stay stuck in that feeling. You can reconnect with who you are, rebuild your confidence, and start living with clarity again. This isn't about going back in time or chasing perfection. It's about rediscovering your values, your passions, and the small actions that make you feel alive. In this video, we're going to talk about practical ways to find yourself again through reflection, boundaries, meaningful connections, and experiences that bring joy back into your life. If you've been searching for direction, this is your chance to take it back. Stay with me because what you hear today might be the beginning of your turning point. Number 1, take control of your daily choices to feel alive. When you reach a point in life where you feel lost, the first step to finding yourself again is to understand that your choices, small or large, shape who you become each day. You may not control the world around you, but you do control how you respond to it. And that response is what creates your identity. When people say they feel disconnected, it often comes down to this. They have stopped making conscious decisions, and instead they are carried by routines, expectations, and habits that do not serve them anymore. To feel alive again, you must take back responsibility for your daily choices. Every morning you are faced with dozens of decisions. How you wake up, what you eat, who you talk to, how much effort you put into your work, whether you speak kindly to yourself or criticize yourself. All of these choices determine your direction. The truth is, most people don't even notice their choices. They live on autopilot. They reach for the phone as soon as they open their eyes. They follow the same patterns of distraction. And they let hours slip away without asking, is this helping me become the person I want to be? To find yourself again, you must pause and pay attention. Taking control of your choices is not just about discipline. It's about reclaiming your energy. If you wake up and the first decision you make is one that lifts you rather than drains you, you already begin the day from a stronger position. Imagine choosing to take 10 minutes in silence before speaking to anyone, or choosing to write down 3 things you want to achieve before you leave the house. These decisions seem small, but they set a tone. They create a sense of clarity, and clarity builds identity. The mistake many people make is waiting for big events to shift their lives. They think a new job, a move to another city, or a major breakthrough will suddenly help them find themselves again. But change starts in the ordinary. The way you spend the hours of your day is the way you spend your life. If those hours are spent mindlessly, then you will continue to feel lost. But if those hours are spent making conscious, empowering decisions, you start to rebuild yourself piece by piece. One of the most powerful choices you can make is how you treat your body. Your health influences your mind and your emotions more than you may realize. Choosing what you eat, how much you rest, and how you move your body daily affects your confidence, your energy, and your sense of control. If you have neglected your body, you have also neglected part of your identity. Taking back control here is not about perfection. It's about direction. Each healthy choice says, I respect myself enough to care for my future. That respect builds self-trust, and self-trust is how you reconnect with who you are. Another choice is how you spend your time. Time is the one resource you can never replace. Many people give it away freely to distractions, to negative conversations, to meaningless scrolling. When that happens, no wonder they feel empty. The remedy is simple but requires courage. Choose to protect your time. Choose to engage in activities that make you feel proud when you look back at the end of the day. That could mean reading something that challenges your mind, working on a project that excites you, or even having a conversation that deepens a relationship. Every minute invested in what matters to you is a step toward finding yourself again. Your environment also plays a role. Look closely at the people you surround yourself with. Each day you are influenced by their energy, their language, their habits. If they constantly complain, doubt, or drag you into negativity, your choices will slowly align with that atmosphere. To take control of your life, you must choose your environment carefully. Spend more time with people who encourage growth, who hold you accountable, who remind you of your strengths when you forget them. This choice alone can shift how alive you feel. Taking control also means being honest about the choices you've been making up until now. If you feel lost, it is likely because many of your decisions have been made unconsciously or out of fear. Maybe you stayed quiet when you should have spoken up. Maybe you kept saying yes when you wanted to say no. Maybe you avoided challenges because comfort felt safer. These patterns shape you more than you think. But the good news is you can break them today by deciding differently. Even one strong choice in the right direction can begin to rebuild your confidence. Think about how powerful it feels when you choose to act instead of delay. When you take the first step toward a goal instead of just thinking about it. That moment brings a sense of life back into you. It reminds you that you are capable. The longer you avoid decisions, the more powerless you feel. But the moment you act, you prove to yourself that you are still in control. That feeling is priceless. There is also the choice of self-talk. What you say to yourself in your mind throughout the day influences how you see yourself. If you constantly choose words of doubt, of criticism, of shame, you disconnect from your true potential. But if you choose words of encouragement and truth, you create a foundation for strength. Replace "I can't" with "I can try." Replace "I'm stuck" with "I'm learning." Replace "I'll never" with "I will." These are conscious decisions, and they shape your inner identity. When you begin to take control of your choices, you will notice something important. You feel more alive. Not because the world has changed, but because you have changed your direction. You will feel a sense of ownership again. You will look at yourself in the mirror and see progress instead of stagnation. You will sense that your days are adding up to something meaningful instead of slipping away unnoticed. This is how you find yourself again. Not through waiting, not through hoping, but through deliberate, conscious, daily choices that honor who you want to be. Some people may disagree and say that life is too unpredictable, that circumstances decide everything. But I can tell you from experience, it is not the circumstances that shape us. It is the choices we make in response to them. Two people can face the same challenge, yet one becomes stronger and the other weaker, simply because of the decisions they make. You have more power than you think. The question to ask yourself each morning is simple. What choices today will make me proud tonight? When you answer honestly and act on it, you begin to collect victories. Small victories build trust. Trust builds strength. Strength builds identity. That is how you return to yourself. You do not need to have it all figured out to begin. You only need to take one choice seriously today. Choose the healthier meal. Choose the meaningful conversation. Choose to work on the task you've been avoiding. Choose to say no where it matters. Each of these decisions may seem ordinary, but together they will transform how alive you feel. And when you feel alive, you will no longer be searching for yourself. You will be living as yourself. The path to finding yourself again is not hidden. It is right in front of you, in the next choice you make. If you want to feel alive, then start there. Take control of your daily choices, and you will begin to see that the person you've been searching for has been within your reach all along. Number 2, focus on your true values and act consistently. If you want to find yourself again, you must stop drifting and start standing firmly on what you truly believe in. Because without values, you are led by pressure, by noise, and by whatever is convenient in the moment. Most people who feel lost are not lacking ability. They are lacking alignment. They say yes to things that don't match what matters to them. They make promises they don't want to keep, and they live in ways that contradict what their heart says is right. That conflict between what you value and how you act is what drains your energy. The only way back is to know clearly what your values are and then live them with consistency. Values are not slogans you repeat to sound wise. They are not words written on a page that you forget about once the day begins. Values are standards you hold yourself to. They are the rules you set for your own life, even when nobody else is watching. When you act in a way that matches your values, you feel strong inside because you know you are living honestly. When you go against them, even in small ways, you weaken your trust in yourself. That is where confusion begins. To find yourself again, sit down and ask very direct questions. What is most important to you? What are the principles you cannot betray without losing respect for yourself? For some, it may be honesty. For others, growth. For others, loyalty or discipline. Whatever yours are, define them clearly. Do not borrow someone else's values just because they sound good. Be honest. If you value freedom more than comfort, admit it. If you value learning more than approval, admit it. That clarity gives you a direction that no one can shake. Once you identify your values, the next challenge is to make decisions that reflect them every single day. This is where consistency comes in. Many people know what they value, but they compromise when it becomes inconvenient. They say they value health, but they neglect it when stressed. They say they value relationships, but they avoid difficult conversations. They say they value growth, but they settle for easy routines. That gap between values and actions is what makes a person feel like they are losing themselves. The way back is to close the gap. When you live in alignment, your self-respect grows. For example, if you decide honesty is one of your values, then you tell the truth, even when it costs you comfort. If you decide discipline is a value, then you follow through on your commitments, even when nobody is keeping track. If you decide kindness is a value, then you choose your words carefully, even when you are upset. Each consistent action is a vote for who you are. Over time, those votes add up to a clear and strong identity. That is how you build the feeling of being alive and connected with yourself. Acting on your values will not always make you popular. In fact, sometimes it will make life harder. People may disagree, they may criticize, they may try to convince you to bend, but here is the truth. Compromising what matters to you for approval never brings peace. You may win acceptance from others for a moment, but you lose acceptance of yourself. And the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. If you cannot trust yourself to live your values, then you will always feel unsettled, no matter what recognition or applause you get from others. To build consistency, create simple daily practices. If one of your values is growth, then commit to learning something new every single day. If one of your values is health, then commit to a daily action that strengthens your body. If one of your values is family, then give your attention fully to them for a portion of the day without distractions. Small acts repeated daily are more powerful than rare dramatic gestures. Consistency is built through repetition, not occasional effort. Notice how it feels when you live in alignment. There is a sense of stability that comes from it. You don't question yourself as much. You don't wonder if you are on the right path. You may still face challenges, but deep down you know you are being true. That inner stability is priceless. It is what makes you resilient when life gets difficult. Because when you stand on your values, even setbacks cannot shake your sense of self. The difficult part is not knowing your values. It is holding on to them. When pressure comes, that's where character is tested. Do you choose honesty when a lie would be easier? Do you choose discipline when laziness calls? Do you choose respect when anger rises? These are the moments that define you. Each decision builds or breaks your character. And character is what allows you to feel grounded, no matter what is happening outside of you. Think about the times in your life when you felt the proudest of yourself. Chances are, it wasn't when things were easy, but when you did something difficult that reflected your true values. Maybe you stood up for someone who had no voice. Maybe you stayed consistent on a habit when it was tempting to quit. Maybe you told the truth even though it cost you something. Those are the moments when you felt alive, because those are the moments when you were most yourself. Finding yourself again is not about chasing new identities. It is about stripping away the noise and returning to your core values. It is about reminding yourself daily, this is what I stand for. This is how I live. That kind of clarity gives you power, saves you from wasting energy on confusion and regret. It helps you decide faster because you no longer ask, what do others expect from me? Instead, you ask, what aligns with my values? That question alone can change your life. It is important to remember that values demand action. If you claim to value honesty but lie, you are not living that value. If you claim to value health but consistently neglect your body, you are not living that value. If you claim to value growth but avoid effort, you are not living that value. Values are proven in actions, not in words. And when your actions match your values, you find peace inside yourself that no achievement or possession can replace. Consistency is built choice by choice. At first, it will feel like work. It may even feel unnatural if you've been living disconnected from your values for too long. But as you practice, it becomes natural. You begin to see yourself differently. Others begin to see you differently. Trust grows. Respect grows. And slowly you realize you no longer feel lost. You know who you are because you are living who you are. The challenge is not perfection. You will slip at times, you will fall short. You will act against your values now and then. But consistency does not mean never failing. It means correcting quickly when you do fail. It means acknowledging when you are not aligned, and then returning to alignment as soon as possible. That is how you build trust in yourself over time. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, did my actions today reflect my values? If the answer is yes, you will feel strong, even if the day was tough. If the answer is no, you will feel unsettled. But that awareness will give you the chance to adjust tomorrow. This daily reflection is simple, but it keeps you connected with yourself. When you focus on your true values and act consistently, you don't just find yourself again, You build a self that cannot easily be lost. You create a foundation that makes you steady in uncertain times, confident in your decisions and proud of the life you are building. That is the reward of alignment. That is the way back to yourself. Number 3, challenge yourself to leave comfort and grow stronger. Nothing in your life will change until you decide to challenge yourself beyond the safety of comfort. Because growth never happens where everything feels easy. Comfort is appealing because it feels secure, it feels predictable. But the same comfort that protects you also limits you. When you stay where things are familiar, you slowly lose the spark that makes you feel alive. If you truly want to find yourself again, you have to demand more from yourself than what feels easy. Because the person you are looking for only appears when you are tested. Think about the times in your life when you felt most proud. Were they times when you stayed in the same routine, repeating what you already knew? Or were they times when you took a risk, tried something new, pushed through fear, or proved to yourself you could handle more than you thought? Growth is born in difficulty, not in comfort. To grow stronger, you must put yourself in situations that force you to adapt, to learn, to push past the edge of what feels safe. Comfort has a cost. It slowly erodes ambition. It weakens resilience. It convinces you to settle for less than you are capable of. At first, the cost is hidden, but over time you notice the signs: boredom, lack of motivation, frustration, regret. You tell yourself you want more out of life, but you keep choosing what is easy, and that choice drains you inside. The truth is, you will never discover your real potential until you step into discomfort and demand more of yourself. Leaving comfort is not about making reckless decisions. It is about choosing challenges that stretch you without destroying you. It could mean taking on a task at work that scares you because it requires skills you don't yet have. It could mean signing up for a class in something you've avoided because you were afraid of failing. It could mean having a difficult conversation you've been postponing. Each time you face discomfort, you build strength that cannot be built any other way. Strength comes from facing resistance. Just like a muscle grows when pushed against weight, your character grows when you push against challenges. If you avoid resistance, you remain weak. If you embrace it, you discover levels of courage and determination you didn't know you had. The moment you step out of comfort, you send yourself a message. I am capable of more. That message is powerful because it changes how you see yourself. The people who achieve fulfillment are not the ones who avoided discomfort, but the ones who faced it repeatedly and learned from it. They failed, they adjusted, they tried again, and through that process they became strong. If you want to find yourself again, you must stop protecting yourself from every difficulty. You must decide that growth is worth the discomfort. You must make peace with being uncomfortable, because that is where life begins to expand. Fear is the main reason people stay stuck in comfort. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But ask yourself this: what is the bigger failure? Trying and stumbling, or never trying and living with regret? What is more painful, the sting of temporary failure, or the quiet suffering of a life unlived? If you allow fear to dictate your decisions, you will never know who you could have become. But if you face fear and act anyway, you gain freedom. The beauty of challenge is that it reveals your true capacity. When you step into the unknown, you are forced to think differently, to stretch your mind, to discover solutions. You learn skills, you build resilience. Most importantly, you learn to trust yourself. That trust is priceless. It tells you that no matter what comes your way, you can handle it. That is real strength, and it only comes from leaving the safety of comfort. Start with small challenges. If you always avoid speaking up, challenge yourself to share your opinion in the next meeting. If you avoid physical activity, challenge yourself to walk further, run longer, or lift heavier than before. If you avoid new experiences, challenge yourself to try something unfamiliar, even if it feels awkward at first. Each small challenge builds confidence, and confidence leads to bigger challenges. Over time, you create a habit of courage. When you make challenge a habit, discomfort becomes your training ground. You begin to expect growth. You no longer see fear as a signal to stop, but as a signal that you are on the right track. Every challenge faced adds a layer of strength to your identity. You become someone who knows how to handle difficulty. That kind of person does not crumble easily. That kind of person thrives when life gets hard. The danger of avoiding challenge is that life will still challenge you, but without preparation, you will feel crushed by it. Challenges are unavoidable. Loss, change, obstacles, they will come, whether you prepare or not. The only choice you have is whether you will strengthen yourself ahead of time. If you build strength through chosen challenges, you will be ready for the unexpected ones. But if you avoid all discomfort, life will catch you unprepared. And that is when you feel helpless. Understand this. You don't grow by wishing, you grow by working. You don't build courage by hoping, you build it by facing fear. You don't discover your strength by avoiding struggle. You discover it by stepping directly into it. Every person who has ever transformed their life did so by leaving the safety of comfort and stepping into challenge. That path is available to you, but only if you decide to walk it. The reward of challenge is not just the achievement you gain, but the person you become in the process. You may set out to achieve a goal, but along the way, you discover patience, discipline, resilience, confidence. Those qualities remain with you long after the goal is reached. They become part of your identity. They remind you that you are not fragile, that you are not powerless, that you are capable of building a life that excites you. When you choose challenge, you inspire others as well. People around you see your courage, and it encourages them to face their own fears. You become an example of strength, not because you avoided difficulty, but because you faced it openly. That influence extends beyond you. It shapes families, communities, even generations. One person choosing courage can light a path for many others. If you want to find yourself again, ask yourself today, what challenge have I been avoiding? What comfort have I been hiding behind? Where am I settling when I could be growing? Answer honestly, and then commit to taking one action that breaks that pattern. It doesn't need to be dramatic, it just needs to be real. That single act can be the start of a new chapter. The truth is, you will never feel fully alive while clinging to comfort. Safety may protect you from risk, but it also robs you of growth. To feel alive again, you must embrace challenge as your ally. You must welcome discomfort as the signal that you are moving in the right direction. With every step beyond comfort, you reclaim your strength. With every challenge faced, you rebuild your identity. And with each victory over fear, you find yourself again stronger and more unshakable than before. Number 4, reconnect with passions that bring joy and energy. You cannot truly find yourself again until you reconnect with the passions that once made your life feel exciting. Because passion is what gives energy to your days and meaning to your efforts. Many people feel lost not because they lack ability, but because they have abandoned the activities, interests, and pursuits that once filled them with joy. Over time, responsibilities, stress, and routines push those passions aside, and without realizing it, you start living only to get through the day instead of living with excitement for what the day could bring. To rebuild yourself, you must reignite the parts of life that spark your enthusiasm and remind you why it feels good to be alive. Passion is not reserved for the lucky few who get to turn their hobbies into careers. Passion exists in everyone, but it often gets buried under obligations, doubts, or fear of judgment. Maybe you love painting, writing, cooking, teaching, or exploring when you were younger, but as life became busier, you stopped making time for it. Maybe you once enjoyed playing music, building things with your hands, or learning new languages, but you convinced yourself it was no longer practical. The truth is, when you cut yourself off from what excites you, you cut yourself off from part of your identity. That is why finding yourself again requires returning to those passions. Reconnect by remembering what used to bring you joy. Ask yourself, what activities made me lose track of time? What pursuits filled me with energy instead of draining me? What did I do when nobody was watching? Not for reward, but because it felt right. The answers to those questions hold clues to your passions. Even if it has been years, those passions are not gone. They are waiting for you to give them attention again. When you engage in something you are passionate about, your entire mood changes. You feel lighter, more focused, and more alive. You forget the weight of stress, because passion demands your full attention. That focus recharges your mind and strengthens your spirit. Without it, life becomes dull, mechanical, and heavy. Many people believe they are simply tired, but in reality, they are passion-starved. Energy flows where interest lives, and when you return to your passions, you unlock energy that no amount of rest can provide. Passion is also a powerful guide. It points you toward what matters to you at your core. For some, passion is about creativity. For others, it is about connection. For others, it is about exploration. When you reconnect with passion, you gain clarity about what kind of life you want to live. You start to see where your time should go and what activities truly deserve your focus. That clarity makes decision-making easier and helps you live with direction instead of confusion. Reigniting your passions requires action, not just thought. It is not enough to remember what you loved. You must deliberately bring it back into your life. If you loved music, pick up the instrument again. If you loved nature, schedule time to walk outside daily. If you loved learning, start reading or studying new subjects again. Waiting for the perfect moment will only delay your return to yourself. Start small, but start now. Each step will remind you of what you have been missing. Do not worry about being perfect at your passions. Too many people stop themselves because they think, I'm not good enough anymore, or I'll embarrass myself. Passion is not about performance. It is about fulfillment. It is about the joy of engaging in something that lights you up. You do not need to impress anyone. The only person who needs to feel the energy is you. The process of reconnecting is what matters, not how skilled or successful you appear while doing it. Passion also helps you cope with challenges in life. When you have something that excites you, setbacks feel smaller. Stress does not weigh as heavily. You recover faster because you have an outlet that replenishes your energy. Without passion, every difficulty feels overwhelming. With passion, you have a source of strength that keeps you grounded. This is why passion is not a luxury. It is a necessity for a fulfilling life. If you have been disconnected from your passions for years, the first step may feel uncomfortable. You might sit down to write and feel stuck. Or you may pick up a guitar and feel clumsy. Or you may go for a run and feel out of shape. That discomfort is normal. It is not a sign that your passion is gone. It is simply the price of returning. With patience and persistence, the joy will return. Do not quit because the first steps feel difficult. Continue, and the spark will grow stronger. Sometimes, reconnecting with passion means trying something new. As you grow, your interests evolve. Maybe the things you loved in the past no longer feel the same. That does not mean you are passionless. It means it is time to explore. Sign up for classes, experiment with hobbies, and expose yourself to different experiences. Somewhere in that process, you will find something that awakens excitement in you. Pay attention to how your body and emotions respond. If you feel lighter, energized, and eager to do more, you have found a new passion worth pursuing. Passion is contagious. When you live with energy and enthusiasm, you inspire those around you, your family, your friends, your colleagues. They notice your spark. That influence spreads, encouraging them to pursue what excites them too. In this way, reconnecting with your own passions not only helps you find yourself again, but also becomes a gift to the people around you. There will always be excuses to avoid your passions. You will tell yourself you are too busy, too tired, or too old. But these excuses only delay your happiness. The truth is, the more time you spend avoiding passion, the less energy you have. The more time you spend pursuing it, the more energy you create. You cannot wait for the perfect time. You must make time, because passion is what gives life its color and depth. Imagine waking up with something to look forward to each day. Imagine knowing that no matter how stressful life becomes, you have something that fills you with energy. That is what passion does. It gives you a reason to move forward with strength. It reminds you that life is not just about surviving. It is about living fully. And when you reconnect with your passions, you remember who you are at your core. Finding yourself again requires courage to return to what lights you up. It requires ignoring the voice that says, it doesn't matter or it's too late. It is never too late. Joy does not expire. Energy does not run out if you keep feeding it. Begin today. Pick up the brush, the pen, the instrument. Go outside, sign up for the class. Plan the trip, start the project. Do the thing that excites you. That is where you will rediscover your energy. That is where you will find yourself again. Number 5, set clear boundaries to protect your mental space. If you want to take back control of your life, you must set clear boundaries that protect your mental space. Because without boundaries, you allow everyone and everything to shape your thoughts, your energy, and your direction. Many people feel overwhelmed, drained, and lost not because they are weak, but because they have no lines drawn between what belongs to them and what belongs to others. When you let constant noise, demands, and negativity flood your mind, you lose the clarity to know who you are and what you want. The way back to yourself begins with protecting the space in your mind and refusing to let it be consumed by what does not serve you. Boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary. They are not about pushing people away, but about creating enough distance so that your thoughts, your emotions, and your choices are truly yours. Think about how often you say yes when you want to say no. How often you listen to conversations that exhaust you. How often you let people's opinions dictate your actions. Each time you do that, you hand over a piece of your mental space. Over time, that space becomes crowded with noise that does not belong to you. Setting boundaries is the process of clearing that space and making room for peace, focus, and strength. The first boundary you must create is with your time. Time is the container for your mental energy. When others control your time, they control your thoughts. If you are constantly pulled into obligations you don't believe in, your mind never gets the chance to breathe. Protect your time by deciding in advance what matters most to you. If someone asks for your time in ways that conflict with your priorities, be willing to say no. At first it feels uncomfortable, but every time you say no to what drains you, you say yes to your mental health. Another boundary is with information. We live in a world of endless input. News, social media, gossip, opinions, they fight for your attention all day. Without boundaries, your mind is filled with distractions that make it difficult to think clearly. Protect your space by being selective about what you allow in. Ask yourself, does this information help me grow, or does it clutter my mind? Limit the noise, and you will feel lighter. Guard your attention like it matters, because it does. Your attention is your life. You must also set boundaries with relationships. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Some people add value, encourage growth, and bring joy. Others drain you with complaints, manipulation, or negativity. If you allow the wrong people constant access to your mind, you will always feel heavy. Boundaries are not about cutting people off cruelly. They are about deciding how much access someone gets. You can care for people and still limit their influence. You can respect someone while refusing to let them poison your mental space. Protecting yourself is not cruelty. It is wisdom. One of the hardest boundaries to set is with your own habits. Often, the biggest intruder in your mental space is not other people but yourself. Overthinking, self-criticism, procrastination, and endless distractions take up more space than anything else. If you want to protect your mind, you must create boundaries with your own behavior. Decide that you will not entertain certain thoughts. Decide that you will not indulge in endless scrolling or constant comparison. Discipline is a boundary you set with yourself, and it is one of the most powerful forms of protection you can practice. Boundaries also require communication. People cannot respect what they don't understand. You must be willing to say clearly what you accept and what you don't. Speak firmly and without apology. If someone pushes past your limits, remind them where the line is. If they continue to ignore it, you have a choice. Either reduce your contact with them or accept that your space will never be safe. Many people stay silent and hope others will guess their needs, but silence invites intrusion. Clarity invites respect. The moment you start setting boundaries, you will face resistance. People who are used to you being available at all times will not like the change. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries may even accuse you of being narcissist. Expect that. But remember this, those who truly respect you will honor your boundaries. Those who only want to use you will fight against them. The way people react reveals who belongs in your inner circle. When your mental space is protected, something powerful happens. You begin to think clearly again. You hear your own voice. You have room to reflect on your goals, your values, your direction. You are no longer reacting to everything around you. You are choosing consciously. That clarity is the foundation of strength. Without it, you are always running on empty. With it, you feel steady, grounded, and capable of handling life with purpose. Boundaries are also about energy management. Every decision you make either drains or restores you. Every person you spend time with either uplifts you or pulls you down. Every activity you engage in either brings focus or scatters your mind. When you protect your space with boundaries, you maximize your energy for the things that matter most. You no longer waste yourself on what is meaningless. That focus alone can transform your life. To set strong boundaries, you must first know your limits. Pay attention to how you feel after interactions, tasks, or environments. If you consistently feel drained, anxious, or irritated, that is a sign a boundary is missing. Respect your limits as much as you respect the limits of others. Too often people ignore their own signals, telling themselves to endure just a little more. But endurance without boundaries is self-destruction. You cannot be everything to everyone and still remain whole. At the end of the day, protecting your mental space is about self-respect. It is saying to yourself, my peace matters, my focus matters, my well-being matters. It is refusing to hand over your mind to chaos. And it is recognizing that you cannot pour into others if your own cup is empty. When you set clear boundaries, you not only protect yourself, you also show others how to treat you. You teach them that your energy is valuable and not to be taken for granted. The truth is, people with no boundaries rarely feel like themselves. They are constantly pulled in directions they did not choose. They say yes when they mean no. They agree to things they resent. They give their attention to people and problems that do not matter. Over time, they look in the mirror and realize they don't recognize the person staring back. If you want to find yourself again, you must stop giving yourself away so cheaply. You must guard your space like it is sacred. This is not about building walls. It is about building balance. It is not about shutting out the world. It is about deciding how much of the world you allow into your mind. You deserve the right to think clearly, to feel steady, to live aligned with your values. Boundaries make that possible. Without them, you live scattered. With them, you live with strength. Every day, ask yourself, what am I allowing into my mental space that does not belong there? Then make the choice to remove it or limit it. Protect your time, protect your focus, protect your energy. When you do, you will rediscover the calm, the clarity, and the confidence that may have felt missing. That is how you reclaim yourself. That is how you build a life that feels like it belongs to you again. Number 6, observe your thoughts and change what limits you. The moment you take control of your own mind, you take control of your entire life. Most people live as if their thoughts are in charge of them instead of realizing that they are in charge of their thoughts. If you want to find yourself again, you must first pay attention to what goes on inside your own head. Thoughts are powerful. They shape your emotions, your behavior, and your decisions. If your mind is filled with fear, doubt, or negativity, then your life will reflect exactly that. But when you observe your thoughts with honesty and make the decision to change the ones that limit you, everything in your world begins to shift. Every day your mind produces thousands of thoughts. Some of them build you up and give you energy, while others tear you down and hold you back. The problem is that too many people never stop to question them. They accept every thought as truth, even the ones that tell them they're not good enough, not capable enough, or not worthy of more. That kind of thinking traps you in a cycle of limitation. But the truth is, you are not your thought. You are the one who chooses whether to keep them or replace them. The skill of watching your thoughts with awareness is the foundation of personal freedom. Imagine the way you feel when you catch yourself thinking, "I'll never be able to do that." The instant you accept that thought, your energy drops, your confidence weakens, and your actions shrink to match it. But if you notice it and say to yourself, "That thought doesn't serve me, I don't have to believe it," you open a new path. You've created the space to replace it with something more empowering, like, "I can learn, I can improve, I can handle this." That shift may sound small, but it creates a completely different result in how you feel and what you do next. That is the power of observing your thoughts and refusing to let the limiting ones control you. This requires patience and discipline, because the mind tends to replay old patterns. If you've been telling yourself for years that you can't change, your brain will keep offering that thought to you out of habit. But habits can be broken with consistent practice. Start by setting aside just a few minutes each day to notice what you're thinking. Don't judge yourself. Don't fight the thoughts. Just notice them as they come and ask, is this thought useful? Is it moving me closer to the life I want? Or is it pulling me further away? That simple question gives you clarity. It separates you from the automatic flow of your mind and puts you back in control. When you do this long enough, you'll notice that many of your thoughts are not even your own. They are voices from the past, things parents, teachers, or other people once said to you. They are opinions picked up from society, not truths about your potential. Recognizing this is one of the most freeing realizations you can ever have. It allows you to stop carrying the weight of other people's expectations and instead create your own. You don't have to hold on to the thoughts that don't belong to you. You can thank them for showing up, and then you can let them go. Once you've created this awareness, the next step is to choose new thoughts with intention. Just as you train your body in the gym, you can train your mind by repeating the beliefs you want to strengthen. Tell yourself every morning, "I am capable of change. I can create progress. I deserve a meaningful life." At first, it may feel uncomfortable because your mind is used to the old story. But with repetition, those new thoughts begin to feel natural. And eventually they become the automatic pattern that drives your behavior. That is how you reprogram your mind from limitation to growth. It's important to understand that this process doesn't erase challenges. Life will still bring setbacks and disappointments. The difference is that when you master your thoughts, you face those setbacks with a stronger inner foundation. Instead of saying, "This failure proves I'm not enough," you'll say, "This failure is a lesson and I'll use it to get better." That single difference in thought changes everything about how you respond. It keeps you moving forward instead of giving up. It keeps you focused on solutions instead of problems. Think about the people you admire most in life. They are not free from self-doubt, but they've learned how to manage it. They notice it without letting it dictate their future. They replace it with determination, persistence, and clarity of purpose. You can do the same. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions. You don't need permission. You only need to make the decision that from this day forward, you will no longer be a prisoner of your own thoughts. Another powerful practice is writing down the thoughts that come up during your day. Seeing them on paper makes them easier to challenge. If you write, "I can't do this," look at that sentence and ask yourself, is this absolutely true? What evidence do I have that I can't improve? Haven't I succeeded in learning new things before? This kind of questioning weakens the grip of limiting thoughts and strengthens your ability to see reality more clearly. The mind becomes sharper, calmer, and more focused on growth. When you choose to observe your thoughts, you create distance between who you are and what your mind is telling you. That distance gives you freedom. It gives you the ability to respond with wisdom instead of reacting out of fear. It gives you the strength to hold on to thoughts that serve you and release the ones that don't. That is not just mental discipline, it's emotional freedom. So if you feel lost, if you feel disconnected from yourself, begin here. Begin by paying attention to the voice in your head and questioning it with courage. Replace doubt with determination. Replace fear with action. Replace hesitation with progress. Over time, you'll notice a powerful shift. You'll feel lighter, more confident, more capable. You'll stop letting old limitations define you, and you'll start defining yourself by the choices you make. Finding yourself again is not about searching for something outside of you. It's about removing the clutter inside your mind that has been blocking your strength. It's about refusing to believe the thoughts that tell you you're not enough. It's about choosing every single day to think in ways that align with the life you want to live. When you do that, your actions change, your results change, and your entire future changes. The truth is, you already have everything you need inside you. The only thing standing in the way is the stream of thoughts that try to convince you otherwise. Observe them, challenge them, replace them, and never again let your mind be the reason you stop short of the life you are capable of living. That is the path to finding yourself again, and that is the kind of discipline that creates a life of strength, meaning, and purpose. Number 7, surround yourself with people who inspire real growth. The people you choose to keep close will either pull you forward or hold you back, and the difference can shape your entire future. When you decide to find yourself again, one of the most powerful decisions you can make is to carefully examine who stands beside you and who influences your way of thinking. You can't afford to ignore this truth, because every conversation, every attitude, every exchange carries energy that either lifts you higher or quietly lowers your potential. That's why surrounding yourself with people who encourage real growth is not just a preference. It's a necessity for anyone serious about living with purpose and clarity. Growth is not something you do only on your own. Yes, you carry the responsibility for your choices, but your environment plays a role that is too important to overlook. If you want to regain the spark inside you, pay attention to who you are giving your time to. The people you spend hours with each week shape your beliefs, they influence your habits, and they can even change what you expect of yourself. Spend enough time around those who complain, and before long you find yourself complaining too. Spend enough time around those who dream, plan, and act, and your mind begins to open in the same direction. You become sharper, more determined, and more alive, because the people around you breathe ambition and possibility into the room. Take a moment to think about the people in your circle right now. Do they challenge you to be more? Do they respect your efforts to grow? Do they cheer for you when you step forward, or do they quietly hope you stay the same so they can feel comfortable around you? The answer to those questions can tell you a lot about why you feel stuck or why you feel alive. The truth is that human beings crave connection, but connection without growth can leave you empty. Real friends are not just those who share laughs or memories, but those who push you to do the work you said you wanted to do, who remind you of your own potential when you forget, who are honest enough to say when you're holding yourself back. When you surround yourself with the right people, you gain more than encouragement. You gain accountability. It's easy to talk about goals in your own mind. It's even easy to say them out loud once in a while. But when you're in the presence of people who truly live with discipline and intention, you feel the pull to step up to their level. That kind of accountability is priceless. You stop lowering your standards because you've put yourself in a place where mediocrity doesn't survive. You start demanding more from yourself because the people around you won't let you settle for less than your best. Think about how powerful this becomes when applied to every area of life. If you want better health, don't only read about it. Spend time with people who take care of their bodies. If you want financial stability, Invest time around people who understand responsibility, planning, and smart decision-making. If you want peace of mind, spend time with those who live calmly, who don't stir drama, who are content in themselves. If you want courage, spend time around the bold. It sounds simple, but it's one of the strongest strategies for change. Adjust your environment and you adjust your future. But here's the challenge. Not everyone in your current circle will support this shift. Some may resist, some may even criticize you for changing. This is where strength of character comes in. You have to be willing to distance yourself from relationships that drain your energy or trap you in old patterns. That doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you choose carefully how much space you give them in your life. Protecting your growth means you sometimes have to say no. It means you sometimes step away, and that takes courage. But the reward is that you create room for people who truly match your direction. It's also important to understand that inspiring people are not perfect people. You're not looking for flawless role models. You're looking for those who are moving forward, who value learning, who choose honesty and responsibility, who respect themselves and others. Their example gives you permission to do the same. They don't have to be famous or wealthy or highly accomplished. They simply have to be genuine in their commitment to growth and living with integrity. Another truth is that you don't only need people ahead of you to inspire you. You also need people walking beside you. Companionship on the same path is powerful. When you know someone else is facing the same struggles, fighting the same battles, and still choosing to move forward, it strengthens your own resolve. You no longer feel alone in your journey. And when you find those people, cherish them, because the bond you form becomes a source of motivation that keeps you from giving up when the road gets heavy. And do not overlook your own role in this. If you want people who inspire growth, then be someone who offers the same. Inspiration is not a one-way street. Become the person who lifts others with your words, who encourages their progress, who respects their values, and who holds them accountable to their best selves. When you do this, you attract others who live the same way. And suddenly you are not only in the presence of growth, you are helping to create it. That kind of environment is unstoppable. Take this seriously. Look at your life right now and decide if the people around you are helping you find yourself again, or if they are keeping you from it. If you discover that you've surrounded yourself with negativity, make the choice to change it. Seek out communities, groups, or friendships that align with who you want to become. Read books that expand your thinking. Attend events where growth is the focus. Talk to people who have already walked the path you want to walk. Each step you take towards surrounding yourself with growth-minded people is a step toward becoming the best version of yourself. Finding yourself again is not only about looking inward. It is also about choosing carefully what you allow around you. When you align your environment with your values, you stop fighting against constant resistance. You begin to experience progress more naturally, because you're no longer trying to climb with people pulling you down. You're climbing with people pulling you higher. That change is life-altering. And remember this, the quality of your life often mirrors the quality of your relationships. If you want to rise, walk with those who are rising. If you want clarity, spend time with those who live with clarity. If you want strength, connect with those who choose strength. Your circle is either a mirror of your past or a preview of your future. Choose wisely, because your future deserves nothing less. Number 8, commit to small daily actions that rebuild confidence. Every great transformation begins with a single step, and confidence is no different. It grows when you decide to act, even in the smallest ways. Too often, people wait for a wave of certainty before they move forward. But the truth is, certainty comes from doing, not waiting. When you take small daily actions, you begin to show yourself that you are capable, trustworthy, and consistent. This creates a foundation where confidence doesn't just appear in big moments, but becomes a steady presence in your life. Think of how powerful it feels when you follow through on even the simplest commitment you make to yourself. That sense of accomplishment is proof that your word matters. And over time, those little victories pile up into unshakable strength. It's easy to underestimate the value of small actions, because we tend to glorify big breakthroughs, dramatic changes, or overnight success. But lasting confidence is never built in one bold leap. It's formed through the discipline of showing up every day for yourself. When you wake up and do something you said you would, even if no one else notices, you're sending a message to your mind. I can rely on myself. That message is the seed of confidence. Once planted, it grows stronger with each repeated action, until eventually it feels natural to believe in yourself. Imagine someone who doubts their ability to get in shape. If they try to overhaul everything in one day, the effort feels overwhelming and often collapses under the weight of unrealistic pressure. But if they decide to simply walk 10 minutes each morning, that action is manageable. Soon, it becomes a habit. That habit leads to more energy, which leads to the motivation to walk longer, eat better, and take on more challenges. The person didn't wait to feel confident before starting. They gained confidence because they started. This principle applies to every area of life: your work, your relationships, your goals, and even your inner peace. The beauty of small actions is that they are fully under your control. You don't need anyone's permission to begin. You don't need the perfect plan, and you don't need to solve everything today. You just need to choose one thing you can do now that aligns with the person you want to become. For example, reading 10 minutes from a book that expands your knowledge, practicing gratitude by writing down 3 things you appreciate, or speaking kindly to yourself when negative thoughts arise. These actions may seem minor, but together they shape a powerful mindset that reinforces your worth and potential. Another key to rebuilding confidence through small actions is consistency. One action on its own can spark a moment of hope, but repetition cements belief. When you show up every day, even with something small, you are proving to yourself that you are disciplined and reliable. Confidence thrives on trust, and the person you must trust most is yourself. Think about it. If someone in your life constantly broke promises, would you feel secure around them? The same applies internally. By keeping your commitments, no matter how small, you rebuild that trust within, and confidence naturally follows. There is also a deep psychological shift that happens when you embrace small actions. Instead of being stuck in the mindset of, "I'll start when I'm ready," you begin to see yourself as someone who takes initiative. This shift transforms your identity. You no longer see yourself as passive or hesitant, but as active, capable, and willing. That identity becomes a self-fulfilling cycle. You act because you believe in yourself, and you believe in yourself because you act. And it all starts with one daily commitment that you refuse to break. Don't overlook the emotional impact either. Every time you take action, you create momentum that lifts your mood and strengthens your resilience. That momentum pushes back against doubt and fear. Even in tough times, those daily habits serve as anchors, reminding you that you are moving forward. It may not always feel dramatic, but progress is happening beneath the surface, and it's only a matter of time before it shows in visible ways. The patience to trust this process is another form of confidence, because you are no longer desperate for instant results. You are steady and assured in your own growth. Another powerful benefit is how these small actions influence the way others see you. When people observe you being consistent and disciplined, even in modest ways, they begin to respect you more. This respect is not just external validation. It feeds back into your own sense of worth. Confidence isn't about being louder or more aggressive. It's about being aligned with who you are and what you're capable of. Small actions that you keep doing reinforce this alignment, and it becomes obvious not only to you but to everyone around you. It's important to recognize that setbacks will come. There will be days when you miss a step, when life gets in the way, or when motivation feels absent. But this is where the power of small actions becomes even more evident. Missing one day doesn't erase the progress you've built. The key is to return the next day and continue. By refusing to let setbacks define you, you reinforce a mindset of resilience. Each comeback after a stumble strengthens your confidence even more, because it shows you that you are not fragile. You are capable of recovery. In the long run, these seemingly small efforts accumulate into massive changes. A journal filled with daily reflections becomes a record of growth. A body strengthened through daily movement becomes healthier and more energetic. A mind fed with daily learning becomes sharper and more confident. These are not random outcomes. They are the result of choosing to act consistently in ways that align with the life you want. When you look back, you realize that what seemed small was actually the most powerful force for change. Confidence is never something you wait for. It is something you create. It's built in the quiet moments when you honor your commitments, in the steady progress that no one else may see, and in the choices you make every single day. If you want to rebuild your confidence, stop searching for dramatic solutions and start focusing on the little steps right in front of you. Each one is a declaration of your strength, a reminder of your ability, and a building block for the unshakable confidence you deserve. So start today. Decide on one small action that aligns with who you want to be, and follow through. Let tomorrow add another, and the next day another. Over time, you'll realize that the life you dream of and the confidence you've been seeking were never beyond reach. They were always within you, waiting for the courage to act consistently, one small step at a time. Number 9, reflect honestly on your life and make changes. The moment you stop running from the truth and face yourself with honesty is the moment your real transformation begins. Most people go through life avoiding difficult questions because they fear the answers. They distract themselves with routines, obligations, and excuses. But deep down, they know they are not living the life they could be. If you want to grow, if you want to feel alive and fulfilled, you must pause and look at your life with open eyes. Honest reflection is not about guilt or shame. It is about clarity. Without clarity, you cannot change. Without change, you cannot move forward. When you take time to look back at your choices, your patterns, and your daily behaviors, you begin to see connections you might have ignored. You may notice that certain habits drain you, certain people hold you back, or certain fears keep you from acting. The act of recognizing these truths is powerful, because awareness always comes before improvement. You cannot fix what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot grow if you continue to deny what is not working. Reflection is the key that unlocks the door to new possibilities. But reflection alone is not enough. Many people realize what is wrong, yet they do nothing to change it. They tell themselves they will start tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. If you want a new result, take responsibility today. It starts with one decision: to stop lying to yourself. Be real about where you are and where you want to go. Ask yourself hard questions. Are you truly satisfied with your life? Are you living in alignment with your values? Are you giving your best to your health, your relationships, and your growth? These questions may sting, but they are necessary. Because the truth you resist the most is usually the truth you need to hear the most. Once you admit what needs to change, you take back control. For example, if you admit that your health is suffering because of poor habits, you can choose better ones. If you admit that you are stuck in a job that drains your soul, you can start planning a different path. If you admit that you allow toxic people to stay in your life, you can set boundaries and free yourself. Reflection without action creates frustration. But reflection followed by change creates freedom. That is why honest self-examination must always be paired with decisive steps forward. Change does not have to happen all at once. Too many people quit before they start because they feel overwhelmed by the size of the transformation they imagine. But lasting change is built through small, deliberate choices. It could be as simple as replacing one unhealthy meal with a nourishing one, dedicating 15 minutes to exercise, or speaking up once when you would normally stay silent. Each action, no matter how small, is proof to yourself that you are no longer accepting a life that doesn't match your true potential. Over time, those small actions accumulate into massive progress. The most important part of this process is honesty. Do not lie to yourself about what makes you unhappy. Do not pretend that you are okay when you are not. Do not convince yourself that you are powerless. Every time you tell yourself these lies, you give away your power. But when you tell yourself the truth, even if it hurts, you reclaim it. You begin to see that you are capable of making different choices. And those choices can reshape your entire future. Another benefit of honest reflection is that it helps you appreciate what you have done right. Often we focus only on failures and mistakes. But reflection should also highlight progress and strengths. Look back at the times you showed resilience, the moments you pushed through doubt, the ways you grew even when life was hard. Acknowledging your victories builds confidence and gives you the motivation to keep going. Growth is not only about fixing what is broken, but also about expanding what is already strong. Of course, reflection takes courage. It is not easy to face yourself without excuses. Many people avoid silence and self-examination because they are afraid of what they might uncover. But the truth is, what you uncover is never your enemy. It is your guide. Your fears show you where you need to build courage. Your regrets show you what needs to change. Your dissatisfaction shows you the gap between where you are and where you want to be. When you accept these signals instead of running from them, they become powerful tools for growth. Once you begin to make changes, you must stay consistent. Honest reflection is not a one-time exercise. It is a habit. Just as you take time to clean your body, you must take time to clean your mind. Check in with yourself regularly. Ask, am I moving closer to the life I want? Or am I falling back into old patterns? What did I do this week that made me proud? What did I avoid that I must face? By practicing ongoing reflection, you stay aligned with your goals and catch yourself before drifting too far off course. You must also understand that making changes after reflection will require sacrifice. Some things in your life will not survive your growth. Certain habits, relationships, and even beliefs may no longer serve you. It may feel uncomfortable to let them go, But you must remember that holding on to what limits you keeps you stuck. Every meaningful change demands that you trade the familiar for the unknown, but the reward is worth it. When you commit to truth and transformation, you create space for a life filled with more purpose, more energy, and more peace. Remember, no one else can do this work for you. You can hear advice, read books, or watch motivational videos. But in the end, you are the one who must sit quietly and be honest with yourself. You are the one who must admit what is not working. You are the one who must decide to act differently. And you are the one who will feel the results of your effort. This is your responsibility, and also your opportunity. So today, take a pause. Sit with yourself and reflect. Ask the questions you have been avoiding. Write down the answers. Be brutally honest. Then choose one area of your life you are ready to change, and take a step in that direction. It does not matter how small the step is. What matters is that you are no longer hiding from the truth. Because the day you choose honesty and action is the day you take control of your future. You have one life. Do not waste it by living in denial. Face yourself with honesty, and then take bold steps to shape the life you truly want. That is how you free yourself from the weight of regret and move forward with strength, clarity, and confidence. The path to transformation begins the moment you choose to reflect honestly and have the courage to act on what you discover. Number 10, pursue experiences that remind you who you are. Life feels alive again the moment you choose to seek experiences that remind you of who you truly are. Because too often we let years of responsibilities, routines, and expectations bury the spark of our own identity under layers of obligations. There comes a time when you must look past the noise, past the roles others have placed on you, and reconnect with the core of your being through moments that awaken your spirit. These are not grand or unreachable moments. They can be as simple as sitting quietly in a place that once brought you peace, revisiting a dream you set aside long ago, or stepping into an environment that calls out to a deeper part of you. When you give yourself permission to live experiences that mirror your true essence, you rediscover the courage and strength you thought had faded. Every life holds turning points where you realize that just existing is not enough. You crave meaning, depth, and a sense of belonging to yourself. That is where intentional experiences play a role. They shake you out of autopilot and remind you of the passions, desires, and qualities that have always been within you, waiting for acknowledgement. For some, this might mean traveling to a place that has always felt like a dream. For others, it may be engaging in activities that challenge and inspire, whether that's hiking through nature, learning a new skill, or immersing yourself in a community where curiosity thrives. It isn't about the size of the experience. It's about how it makes you feel, what it awakens inside you, and the way it reconnects you with the version of yourself you may have drifted away from. Think back to a moment in your past when you felt completely alive. It could have been during your youth, in the middle of an adventure, or in a quiet, ordinary moment where you felt aligned with who you were meant to be. Those flashes of truth are powerful because they serve as reminders of what really matters to you. Life has a way of pulling us into cycles of doing things just to get by. And before long, years pass without us stopping to ask, am I still connected to myself? Choosing experiences that reignite your identity is an act of reclaiming your life. It tells your mind and your heart that you are not simply surviving. You are actively participating in what makes you human. The beauty of this practice is that it does not have to wait for perfect circumstances. You don't need unlimited resources or free time to begin. Even the smallest step toward a meaningful experience has the power to shift your mood. It could be visiting a place from your childhood, reconnecting with an old friend who brings out the best in you, or creating art without worrying about whether it's good enough. What matters is the intention, to honor the parts of yourself that may have been neglected but never disappeared. The more you feed these experiences, the more you begin to feel whole again. There is also a deep emotional strength that comes from remembering who you are through action, not just thought. Reflection alone is valuable, but when you pair it with lived experiences, it becomes transformative. If you've always loved music, go listen to it live. If writing once set your mind on fire, sit down and write even a single page. If adventure stirred your heart, plan something, even small, that brings back that thrill. Each experience becomes a mirror showing you your resilience, your creativity, and your capacity for joy. It's a reminder that you are more than the roles you play for others. You are a person with a story worth living fully. At times, fear or hesitation will try to stop you. You might wonder if it's too late, if the opportunity has passed, or if the effort will even matter. But the truth is, life does not wait for perfect timing. The moment you decide to move, to act, to create, or explore, is the moment you reclaim ownership of your life. Experiences are not about proving anything to others. They are about proving to yourself that you are alive and capable of feeling deeply. They show you that your identity is not lost. It is waiting for you in the moments you dare to embrace. There is also a healing quality in experiences that reflect who you are. They allow you to release burdens you've carried, to let go of the opinions that shaped you in ways that didn't align with your truth, and to remember the simple joys that make life worth living. Imagine how different your days feel when you fill them not just with tasks but with experiences that light up your spirit. Confidence grows, energy returns, and clarity sharpens when you align with the activities and environments that resonate with your soul. You may notice that when you live in this way, the people around you begin to notice a shift. You radiate a kind of strength that comes only from authenticity. Others may feel encouraged to do the same. Most importantly, you build a relationship with yourself that is unshakable. You no longer rely on external approval to feel alive. You know that the richness of your life is built on what you choose to experience. And when challenges come, as they always do, you face them with greater resilience because you are grounded in your true self. So ask yourself honestly, what experiences have I been longing for, but postponing? What parts of me have I silenced for the sake of comfort or expectation? What steps can I take, even today, to reconnect with those pieces of myself? Your answers don't have to be grand or dramatic. They just have to be real. And as you follow through, you will feel the power of living authentically. Return to your life. Life is too short to remain disconnected from yourself. The world does not need you to be a copy of others. It needs you to be fully alive in your own truth. Commit today to pursue experiences that remind you of who you are. Because those moments will not only transform the way you see yourself, but also the way you live every day that follows. You owe it to yourself to create a life filled with meaning, energy, and authenticity. The choice is yours. Choose experiences that awaken your true self, and you will never again wonder if you are really living.